Hello again. This is FSH Society's Story Time with Belinda Miller. I'll be reading again from Winterfrost, the first book in the series, Sillet's Quest. Enjoy! Okay, everybody, get ready for Chapter 10, Part 2. The first 9 chapters of Winterfrost was all about Philip. Told you where he came from, what he does, and where he's headed. He's headed to the land of Winterfrost. And he'll leave very, very soon to go find his brother. In this chapter, we find the heartache of telling Izzy, and we find out about the beginning of his journey. We also find out about some peculiar goings-on at the farmer's market. From chapter 11 on, it gets interesting. Philip learns about creatures he's never known before and has to find a way to Winterfrost despite everything he goes through. Edward is a good friend to Philip, and we all need good friends. Chapter 10, Part 2. The market was bustling and full of activity. Despite her heartache, Ivy decided to enjoy these final moments with her husband. She tried to relate to the pain he had been forced to endure over the past recent years. He had a brother that was missing, and he had to make a choice to leave his wife and home in order to find him. Ivy sighed. She loved him, and she knew he would return to her soon. Scanning the grounds to see where he'd gone off to, Ivy noticed that many vendors with large, dark carts had assembled in the market. They must have shown up during the night, she thought. How odd that the little party of gnomes had not heard them. Most of these latecomers were a bit smaller than the gnomes, but dressed alike. They all wore dark clothing. They had their hoods up as well, which was peculiar. Equally strange, they wore cloth-like coverings over their feet. She observed that they would bow when someone approached, but they never spoke except to each other. And it was in whispers that she couldn't quite make out. Something was wrong. Holly noticed the confused look on Ivy's face and approached her to see if she could help. "Is there something wrong, dear?" she asked. Ivy motioned to the row of hooded vendors. "Have you seen these new vendors? They're really giving me the creeps." Holly turned to look. Edward had been scurrying around the market, talking to folks and buying up little goodies and morsels from the various vendors. He had purchased the most scrumptious pecan doodle. A bitter's pecan had stuck to his scruffy little chin as he glanced around for Philip. The gnome was nowhere in sight. What Edward did notice was the big, dark wagons at the edge of the market. There was something mighty peculiar about them. He ran up the rope to the top of the tent and squinted his eyes real tight so he could get a better look. Was there something moving inside of them? He didn't like those wagons one bit. He ran back down the rope and sprinted over to Izzy's booth. Izzy was talking with Holly when Edward arrived. "Morning, Izzy," exclaimed the squirrel. "Have you guys seen those creepy black wagons down the hill there?" Izzy nodded and put a finger to her mouth. She motioned with her eyes to the vendors across the yard. Edward turned his head and saw that an entire row of cloaked figures, 12 or so, were all staring at them from behind their booths. Not right, not right, not right," Edward gulped and took off to find Philip. He found the gnome sorting through his things in the cart. Edward had wondered why Philip had brought along Grandma Polly's book of maths. There also seemed to be extra clothes and flint. The squirrel noticed that Philip was putting together what looked like a backpack for traveling. Edward crept up to Philip along the edge of the cart. "Going somewhere, my friend?" "Yes, Edward. We are going to the Blue Witch's castle," replied Philip, never raising his head. Edward jumped back. "Well, nuts and acorns, acorns and nuts. What are you talking about?" Philip raised his head. "Edward, keep it down. Shh." He put his fingers to his lips. "Does Ivy know?" asked Edward. "Oh, silly me. Of course she knows. That's why she's been so quiet and sad. Oh, Philip, I suspected something was amiss. When do we leave?" "Now," replied Philip. "Why are we going to see the Blue Witch? What about Ivy?" whispered the squirrel. "I'll explain on the way. Now come on. Grab your bag and let's go." Edward picked up his little sack that contained his slingshot and acorns. He was so stunned that he totally forgot to tell Philip about the strange wagons. Philip slung his backpack over his shoulders and they walked out of the north side of the market. As they passed the last few tents, Philip turned back to look at his beautiful Ivy one last time. She was busy chatting with someone, Holly perhaps. How could he leave her? He sighed and repositioned the straps of his backpack. Bloody on with it. The two companions left the farmer's market and headed along the dirt road that crept through the forest. On their way out, Edward pointed out the large dark wagons in the field. Philip walked right by them and never noticed. The squirrel could have sworn that he saw a pair of beady little eyes peering out from under the heavy covering. And that's the end of Chapter 10. Chapter 11, applicably, is called Razor Snoot. And things start to really go badly for the gnomes at the farmer's market during chapter 11. Stay tuned and you'll see why.